how's it going? My name's John, and I'm coming at you back again. I just wanted to chat with you today about ECTs, or the other term is electroconvulsive therapy. I've had a number of those in the past because of my treatment with bipolar disorder, and it averaged total around close to 55 sessions in total. And that was not in just one time, that was over a number of years. And one of the side effects of having the treatment is memory loss. I thought my memory would come back. They said it would be back within 3 to 6 weeks after the stop of or the ending of my treatment, but that has not happened. Actually, to give you some background, back in college, I was earning my chemical engineering degree, and I was actually doing pretty well. I was on track to get it to finish it. It was taking me a little bit longer than I had wanted, but because of kind of the emergence of my illness, where it got really bad, I had to put it on hold and go through these treatments. Well, after going through these treatments, I pretty much lost all of my memory of my chemical engineering education. I went back and actually I tried to finish it up because I only had a few more classes left. I would have been able to if I could have remembered my education, the classes beforehand, but there was absolutely no way I was going to remember. I had pamphlets or notebooks full of notes and engineering equations and all sorts of reports that I had, 55-page report, or not 55, more like 25-page reports that I just had no clue who did it. Well, I did it, and it was very unnerving knowing that those were completed by myself, but I didn't remember them. So, anyways, I know that sounds pretty awful, a really awful experience, the side effects, but on the positive, I am still here today. I have a family, I have a couple kids, a beautiful wife, and my heart is beating, I'm breathing. Back then, I really think, looking back, I would not be here today if it wasn't for those treatments. So with the bad comes the good. And the other thing too, I just want you to know that this is not medical advice or anything like that. It's just my point of view, what I went through, almost starting about 18 years ago, and then it went through 2006, I believe was the last time I had an ECT treatment. And actually at that point, I had to stay at a psychiatric hospital for a couple months, and I would have the treatments Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Early in the morning, they'd wake me up. I think it was around 4:30. I'd go to the area where people would be getting ready, and they kind of took you not by first come first serve, but I'm not sure how they actually picked you, because some mornings I'd go there and go right in and come right out, and other mornings I'd just have to sit there for a couple hours while everybody else was going through it. But anyways, that's kind of beside the point. I just wanted to give you an idea. Basically, before the treatment, they would have me change into a hospital gown. There'd be a gurney, a small one that I could sit on, where I'd sit, and they'd take all of my vital signs, and they'd have me fill out a memory worksheet. I believe there's no way I'm going to remember what was on there, but I sort of remember a couple of the questions. They were like, what's the date, who's the president, whether you like him or not, doesn't matter. When's your birthday? Those sort of things. They try to do a few things that you could recollect, because then after the treatment, I don't remember, this is what was in my file. Then they'd give me the sheet again to fill out. So, but what would end up happening is they'd wheel me in to the room, And my doctors were amazing doctors, because in order for me to do these treatments, I had to get signed off to do the actual treatment. And the doctors that did it, there was a doctor who had been working there for decades, not at that specific facility, but doing work in the medical field with around ECT specifically, and he was a anesthesiologist as well, so he could administer the medication. So he was able to do both, but he was teaching another doctor, a younger doctor, who was just fantastic as well, and he was learning how to do the actual ECT treatment. And basically what would happen is they reeled me in, and I would always be so scared and very anxious, because then the doctor, he was so awesome, because he had his music blasting, and he was just so like, I I don't want to say names, because I don't want to I just don't want to online or whatnot, but they were such a dynamic duo. They really were, and they really did. They were the ones that put me at ease, because then he would put the IV in me, and then he'd administer the doses of meds beforehand to get into my system, not the anti or the muscle relaxant. That came afterwards, because what would happen is he'd put a whole bunch of pain meds and stuff to help me, because what would happen is then they'd knock me out, and they'd have that muscle relaxant in the system, so when the electricity would go through and I would have a seizure, my body wouldn't be flopping around, because that's one of the things too about the modern day way of doing this procedure. It's so much different than the way it was in the past. I mean, it's so crazy, because I look at these films and these medical films of what they would do, about how the electricity would go through and they didn't have the muscle relaxant, and the body would just be flopping all over the place, and they'd have a couple people trying to hold them down. But with this, it's a very humane way of doing the treatment. So that was a big positive, a big plus. So, and then what would happen too is I had my glasses, and I remember they would start to put on those electrodes on my side of my temples. But I remember telling my doctor, I was so freaked that for some reason he assured me every time that they would never accidentally turn the machine on and have me go through one of these treatments without being knocked out first. But I still had this horrible fear that they would. So I would always tell him, I'd just be like, do you mind doing that after I'm out? And so he would, and he listened to me, which was pretty cool. So anyways, they knocked me out, and the electrodes would be on each side of my temples, one on each side, and then they'd shoot the electricity through my brain, and the electricity would hit my brain and cause a seizure. I don't know all the medical terminology and stuff. Actually, back in the day, I could have probably explained it to you more, but basically, I think what ended up happening was these treatments, my depression lessened, my memory got really messed up and kind of jacked up. Usually it was the day after, or the day after the treatment, the day of the treatment and the day after would be really rough days for me in terms of my memory. I wouldn't be able to remember as much, but I could start feeling better. That's the thing. It basically kept me alive. So looking back and being like, because I had a family member ask me, hey, when are you going to finish up that chemical engineering degree? Well, I'm kind of like, there's really no way. I looked at it again, actually a couple years ago I looked at it, and they were going to do a special, they were going to have me kind of grandfathered in where I wouldn't have to take some of the new classes because I was so close to getting done with my degree. But then I'm like, but what's the point for me with someone in my situation now? So I can just say I have a chemical engineering degree and I finished it. I ended up getting a degree. I ended up getting a number of degrees. I got my natural sciences degree with minors in math and chemistry. I got an accounting degree. I got certifications in personal training, a CNA, all sorts of stuff. So it's not like I don't know how to, learn and go to school and treat myself to be able to do something like this. I just think it's interesting how this all plays out on the psyche and on the mind and how it all works together, because here I am thinking almost 20 years later, well, gosh, because I have people ask me about should they get the ECT treatments and electroconvulsive therapy. And I try to tell them what I've just said here about, for me, they did tell me that my memory would come back, and actually I'd be able to finish up school and everything would be fine. That wasn't the case. I just think people should realize that with these sorts of treatments, with these sorts of things that you have the opportunity to go through, that they don't always work to the satisfaction of what you want. I was talking to some lady the other day, and she just said, I just think it's horrible the way I am with my memory. I just finished up treatments a couple months ago, and it's just horrific. And I'm just like, for me, it kept me alive. I'm alive today because of these treatments. I was able to get through a spot where medication did not help anymore. All these coping skills that, they teach you in therapy don't work anymore. When they don't happen, when all this stuff together doesn't work, but you have this treatment as kind of a backdrop to go through, I just think you should really think about the whole picture. And you should make sure when you do this, when you make a decision like this, you talk to your loved ones, because you need their support here. Whether they're your parents, if you don't have a family, if you have friends. Me, for example, I was able to, at the time, after I had gotten a divorce, and I didn't really, my family was, they had to work and all this stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on, and so nobody was able to help take me to these treatments Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Plus, they were way down in Denver, and I'm up in northern Colorado. There was no way I was going to be able to get down there, so that's when I stayed at the hospital, and I was able to get them then. So if you don't have the support of people around you, you can always find a way to get it done. Okay? So I hope that answers some questions. I hope that gives you an idea of how these ECT treatments are, or electroconvulsive therapy. They intermix those terminologies generally quite a bit, but I just wanted to come out and explain that a little more. I know my next video here should have been more about, well, how was I diagnosed and what did I have to go through, but I thought this was more important because people need to know this, especially when I have people to this very day talking to me about it and trying to determine if it's something they should do or not. So anyways, I appreciate you listening to my channel. I'm trying to get some good content here for you guys, trying to get this kind of rolling, kind of going, and this is my first real talk. I don't have it scripted or anything. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. Probably it's pretty obvious. But anyways, I just want to make it, I hope I can educate. I hope I can help. That's my biggest thing, is I want to help people, even if I can help one of you out there to make an informed, educated decision, not just based on what my experience was. I want you to, again, this is not medical advice. I want you to talk to your physicians, therapists, everybody on board. But anyways, I hope to see you again soon. Okay, take care and have a good one. And carpe diem.